And welcome to the Planning Commission for the City of Hudson for Thursday, February 28th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is a consideration of the minutes from our 1/31/13 meeting. Any changes, additions, or reviews?
I will move to approve.
Second.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public hearing and consideration of an application for a conditional use permit by Bernie Rodell for 2420 Foxglove Circle to reduce the rear yard setback as per Municipal Code 255-22B to permit an addition of 6 feet and an enclosure of the existing rear porch. Mr. Darnold.
Request if there's any public comment in regards to the application. I did not receive any correspondence in regards to this issue.
Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment on this? Come on in. One more time, is there anyone here that would like to make a comment on Mr. Rodell's application for a conditional use permit? Welcome. Okay.
Motion closed here.
Can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This time, Planning Commission, would you like to consider you have all the supporting documentation? Denny, I had one question, Denny. Had the Homeowners Association agreed to the...
I have not received any correspondence from the Homeowners Association. I did receive correspondence about 5:30 this afternoon from Mr. Paul Rodell, Mr. Bernie Rodell, and Eileen Rodell's son. And Bernie had been hospitalized last week with surgery and just was being released tonight, so the family is tending to Mr. Rodell tonight, so they were not able to make it. I guess there's two considerations. One is because they are not here and able to answer any questions that you may have, or you want to postpone consideration till a future meeting, or if you feel comfortable making a recommendation to the Common Council, we could proceed to do that.
What's your pleasure?
I don't think we need to postpone, but I do want, why, does this not have to go to the zoning board at all? Only if there's a
You are the
conflict?
zoning board.
I mean, the Board of Zoning Appeals, only if it's a...
No, this is a
conflict?
provision within our, the Planning Commission reviewed this.
Okay.
This particular section of the ordinance.
I do have a question. What, it appears that he's right on the corner there. What does his lot abut? Is it right away of roads? Is it other residential property? What is it that he abuts?
To the west is the stormwater ponds, so for a distance of 106 feet to the west of the property is open space. To the south, there's another stormwater pond, so it's kind of an L-shaped stormwater pond. And again, there's open space basically on the south and the west side of his structure.
So it's open and there's no neighbors
That's
in the area that he's...
other than what he's attached to the north.
Yeah, I don't, there's not buildable behind there either.
Right. Well, that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
determine.
Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
And I'll second that.
Any other discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is final plat for Red Cedar Canyon Townhome South, 66 townhome units, 8 7-unit structures, and 2 5-unit structures north of Hanley Road and east of O'Neill Road, Hanshagen Homes.
This area of the Red Cedar Canyon planned residential development this is the water utility station, and this is the pump house for the water utility. So this is Hanley Road to the south and O'Neill Road to the west. This plan was originally approved in 2004, and because of the time lapse, they did install public utilities and private road system in this, so that's in place. So everything is compliant with the original approval of the city previously. Also is compliant with the master plan approved by the city in the early 2000. Recommend approval with the contingency that the sanitary sewer, water, storm sewer are re-examined, make sure that they're functioning properly, and then secondly, approval of a development agreement. Mr. John Rask from Hudson Homes is here tonight to answer any questions that you may have. These are townhome units. There'll be 8 7-unit buildings and 2 5-unit buildings, very similar to the townhomes that are just to the north and east of this area within the Red Cedar Canyon development.
So the whole reason why this has been delayed has just been, call it economic. In other words, the economy tanked, and so when they got initial approval, the timing wasn't right, and now they're back because it's better.
Well, they're historically, Hudson Homes has sold these townhome units. They are going to market these different. These are going to be rental units. And Mr. Raskin, but yes, I mean, the first part of your question, why was it not developed immediately? You know, the market softened and they were not able to move this particular development. Now, in the northern section, they had approximately 60 units and they're just finishing that segment up. But again, also, they're modifying their market just a little bit also.
Are those other 60 units rental or
No,
purchase?
those are owner occupied.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, their owner,
Yes.
I mean, somebody that owns them could rent them.
Right.
So is this part of the row home association then?
John, you have to go
Step up to the mic,
lectern,
John.
please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. Yes, they will be they will have their own association separate from the row
There'll be
association.
so there'll be a fourth association in there then?
Yeah, because it's one owner, it's really, association is probably not the right term, but they will participate in the overall in terms of payment, but it won't have its own, because it's one owner, there's no need to have an association per se.
Okay.
So it'll be the property and the grounds will be maintained by Hudson Homes.
Oh, it will be maintained by
Yeah.
you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of what I was concerned about, so.
Yeah.
All right, that makes it a little better.
Any other questions?
Yeah, one more question, I guess.
Yep.
So, but it's next to the row home, so are they aware, have they been made, excuse me, have they been made aware that there'll be rental units?
I don't believe they have, no.
Okay.
I don't know if they're aware of that or not. This is separate. There's the row home area where we've
Yep.
currently built the for sale, and this is separated from that by
A road.
block or so.
Yeah.
No, it's farther than, it's not just a road separating them that they're on. These sit right next to the senior housing.
Oh,
The
okay.
3-story building, they don't sit over. We still have one more for sale building to build in that.
Okay,
and
I
that
guess
will-
that's where
that
my
will-
mind
Yeah,
was.
that will remain for sale. This next phase would be the rental portion.
Okay.
I will move to approve with Denny's stipulations and conditions.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, public information invitation for public comment on whether to construct a raised median within the street right-of-way of Gateway Boulevard, north of Crestview Drive, and consideration of a request for additional information, determination of how to proceed and/or recommendations to the common council. Mr. Darnold and city engineer staff. I think we had some new maps that were just given to us.
Where this idea?
In
Because they finally got a hold of the top of
development for the Hudson Center, which is a former state-owned visitor information center, this is the access immediately across from Walmart. The road will extend north and then to the east and connect with the existing Gateway Boulevard, which intersects with Crestview Drive. Part of the traffic impact study that was done on behalf of this development, both the development engineer and the city engineer staff suggested that the city take a look at potentially placing a median in on the section of Gateway Boulevard north of Crestview Drive from basically this location up just south of this intersection. And the impact of that is that this south access from Quick Trip would become right in, right out only, and the access from Taco Bell also would be right in, right out only. The engineers, Chris Saxby, is here tonight to talk about any of the considerations for why it would be considered by the city in regards to safety consideration, to traffic flow, and so forth. Again, this is the Taco Bell site, this is Quick Trip, and then you have McDonald's to the east of that. The intent tonight was to allow an opportunity for the property owners, the businesses, and any other businesses in the area to come in and comment, express their concerns that they may have for this possible raised median in this section. So we want to give them opportunity to discuss that with us, but also Mr. Saxby and Ed Terhar, who was the developer's traffic engineer, also is here tonight answering questions on the traffic impact study or what considerations may be in regards to this possible raised median.
So are you to take comments first or hear from the engineers? And
Whichever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do.
I'd hear from the engineers first. I mean, just the understanding of what the safety concerns are. And
Chris, do you want to make some comments, please?
Is that okay with everyone else? Fred? You okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
chicken, egg, chicken.
Yep.
You can
Got
come
it
up here if you'd like
Yep.
to.
Okay.
You're way too good looking to be back there.
All right. Well, the issue that's come up, basically, when the traffic impact analysis was done or traffic study was done, it was determined post-development that the queue length, or basically the stacking distance, for people wanting to come south on Gateway and make a left to get out to Carmichael, out to the interstate or wherever they're going, in the peak hours, that queue can get anywhere from 250 to 290 feet long, okay, which is a significant amount of cars. And what that does then is that stacks up back to about this intersection, even along in the, I guess in traffic language, a 95th percentile queue, which happens less than 5% of the time, if you will. Could actually get a little longer, maybe even into this, into the new intersection here. So with that stack of cars, even when the light turns green, the green time is long enough in one cycle to allow that queue to clear. So it won't take 2 or 3 cycles for it to happen. It's just the one time while it's stacked there. But while it is, and during the day, depending on what is happening in some of these other lots and some of the new development, that queue could be long enough, I guess, to stack longer than or get past the driveways to Taco Bell and the Quick Trip. So when that happens, one of the considerations is to put in the raised median in the middle to make these accesses. What it does, it makes them right in, right out. But the safety component of that being that as people, if there's a queue past these driveways, someone wants to make that left into Taco Bell, or someone sitting at the south entrance and wants to make the left to get out, they can't. Okay, so they're sitting there blocking traffic. The major safety issue is the proximity of those driveways to this intersection. They're close enough. Somebody coming around that corner, if they're stacked up and waiting there, there's potential for rear-end collision, some other things. And, will someone in this queue realize and stop short so that they provide someone a gap to get in there? But then in the process of doing so, there is the potential for the car that wants to make a left through that queue can't see the car coming in the through lane. So they have to keep inching out, and they can get T-boned doing that too as well. So there's just, by having, it's basically a whole nother intersection, only, maybe 100, 150 feet from the existing intersection. So by putting that median in there, not allowing those left turns in or the left turns out prevents that weaving or that maneuver, those intersection maneuvers. That's the traffic safety portion of it. There could also be a pedestrian safety portion of it. Currently, there are no sidewalks on this side of the road. There are on the other side of the road. If you look at the aerial maps of what's out there, there are existing crosswalks painted. So are there sidewalks, going to be in the future? By providing a median, the pedestrians do have a two. They can make get across in two movements if they have to. It provides storage for the pedestrians as well. So from a safety aspect, that's kind of where, I guess, from an engineering standpoint, what we would see.
Mary Claire, you got a question?
Is that the only option? I mean,
Well-
what's the current traffic now? I'm sure it's in your study, but are there issues currently safety, but is that the only option to resolve this issue?
Well, I guess the option is you don't put a median in, and then, as I said, a lot of times those driveways are going to be blocked by traffic. And is that a safe situation?
But I mean, there's
You know,
no
it's-
other solutions or thoughts or processes?
Well, there may possibly be. We've asked, the mayor and I have asked cooperation between Hudson Center and Taco Bell, Miss Gillis. Miss Gillis is the owner of the property. Taco Bell or Border Foods is the management group for the Taco Bell restaurant. And they've not come to an agreement at this point. But yes, would we look at, to date, we haven't wanted to spend a lot of time, a lot of energy and monies that's not allocated to try to, actually design something as far as alternatives. So we really wanted to get the issue out, what are the concerns of the businesses? And at that point, depending on what the plan commission may want to do tonight, then we'd decide some direction.
The comment I want to make is that I feel that Crestview Gateway intersection already is not a clear, straightforward intersection. Every time I've been up there, you see tremendous delays, people not knowing when it's their turn to go and turn. Other issues that slow the traffic down. With that being said, adding more traffic to it, in my mind, would only make it worse. Again, you come out of Menards, you come out of wherever, you're in there, people, there's two lanes, when is this guy gonna go, when is this guy gonna go, everybody's kind of waiting for the other guy to go, and if nobody goes, the traffic doesn't flow. If you get stacked all the way back to the end there, even though with the comments that you made, I don't see what you said happening. I just don't, because of the confusion out in this intersection.
And
With all that being said, I just think that there has to be, I don't know if the problem is the median, if the problem is the intersection, but it's, the flow there is not good.
I agree with-
Something's gotta change.
I agree with what you're saying, except with the comment with the queue, and I wrote that down when he was talking. As it stands now, I don't see it clearing. But if we either place the median, put a median in place, make it a one-way street, or whatever other option we can come up with, then I see it clearing a little faster because you don't have as much confusion. To me, a one-way street would have given the least confusion because you can only go, obviously, one way, and you wouldn't be turning into Crestview Drive. If we did it a one-way, you'd have to go around. But and that would allow both businesses for people to actually enter in both businesses versus having Taco Bell have a restriction of entering in from that intersection. The median would definitely alleviate some of those issues as well because there won't be as many people coming in and out. You can right now you can go left out of Quick Trip from the most southern exit, and that's where where the most congestion happens, because people are trying to get out there, people are letting them in. I call it the Hail Mary intersection for a reason.
No, and I agree with you, but let's make the assumption that people are not gonna go west to get out of that area that's in question. They're gonna all try to go through there, and with that in mind, there has to be good flow.
Right. which was,
That's my concern. There just is not good flow today, and I don't know if the median's the answer. If it's redesign, I mean, if it's striping, is it, better lights? I mean, I don't know, but, it's, the flow there is not good.
We don't have a left-hand turn lane heading south off Gateway, do we? We don't. As you come out of, let's assume you come out of Taco Bell, there is not a left turn.
it's left or straight.
It's
Right,
left
but
or
there's
straight.
There's
right.
no light that says left turn only.
No.
That is correct.
Wouldn't that clear it out a whole lot quicker?
And
Yes.
I guess, yeah, I'd say I might defer to some of the traffic engineers, but yeah, I mean, I would guess that when this all goes in, the lights would be retimed, reconfigured to match the new traffic flows.
I thought we discussed that in safety, to have a left turn lane and something stop that.
Well, we have a left turn lane now.
I mean, the lighting with the left
No,
turn
but I didn't
arrow.
realize that it was left or straight, which,
Yep.
as you said it.
No, it's not, it's
No.
left
No,
only.
it's left, it's either right or straight, excuse me, or
The
left.
right-hand lane is straight or right. Left-hand is a left-hand only turn,
If you look on
unless
this
it's
area,
covered with snow.
right, if you look on the area, you can see the arrows,
Yep.
even here.
But
There's
if
the
I,
left only and the through and the
if
right.
I recall, coming out from the other side, it's left or straight. And it's
Correct.
right turn only, and that's where there's a lot of confusion, because you have cars turning left only, but you have other cars that can go straight or left. And if they don't signal,
Well,
We got a problem.
that's why the flow is lousy.
Yeah.
And that's
So
why,
my question to
why
you,
I'm
if you
bringing
were
it
the
up.
owner of the Taco John's situation, would you
Taco
want to
Bell.
have or Taco Bell, would you want to have a median there?
Can I plead the fifth?
Well,
I'll give you this. I've done a lot of roadways in urban situations, and mainly, I will say the client mainly has been the DOT, or the owner, and we go to meetings like this a lot. And either during construction or what we're proposing with medians, we hear a lot from business owners. This is gonna put us out of business, this is gonna do this is gonna do that. And I will say that I have no concrete evidence in any cases to say whether it's hurt or helped the business. There's, from the roadway standpoint, yes, you have no God-given right to say you have full left in, left out access out, in and out of your business. You have access onto the roadway. Whether it's right, we've gone in and put medians in and made people ride in and ride out. Are they still in business? They're still in business. Are they better off? Are they worse off? I can't answer that question.
why is a one-way street, I mean, I know that I saw a traffic study, but why would that be worse than a median, I guess? I guess I'm not wrapping that around my head, why that would be making that one way, allowing cars to enter the restaurants and Quick Trip and then having to go around be a bad thing.
From what I read of the TIA and from what I understand, just basically, if this is one way, it takes all the traffic, instead of splitting it between two intersections, you're putting it at this one, and it modifies this one significantly. I don't know if that's the right way of putting it, but.
Yeah, I think it's mainly that.
I mean, it just changes, it would put a lot more pressure on this intersection, which caused some operational issues. Whether it's right or, I don't know, so. But,
Yeah, I'm Ed Terhar. I did the traffic impact study. I think that's the kind of the main issue was splitting or not splitting the traffic anymore, putting it all, making it all go to the west to come back to the east. I think that's the main issue with that.
But let's say it's just one way going up to the new road, that it's not one way all the way through, where people can come in by the
this
Walmart
is just
still.
one way.
Yeah, just that area is one way. I understand it still pushes the traffic that way, but I would, I mean, I'm driving, I mean, I don't know, I'm just talking from my experience of driving that road. As it goes farther down to Walmart, towards Walmart, I mean, it's farther away from the Carmichael intersection. It just seems like the congestion going down that way would be more welcomed and less of an impact than it is the way it sits now, the way we would have it now. And maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't have to be though. The whole road wouldn't have to be one way, so people
No.
can still enter in.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It would just be the north
Yeah.
south section would be one way. Is your idea?
Right.
But to make this piece one way, just this piece, would essentially make this one way, I believe.
Right.
Because your only destination coming back this way then would be Quick Trip or McDonald's.
Right.
You couldn't come here and, make this turn to get out. So in essence, you'd make By making a piece of it one way, I think you'd see that, you'd make most of it, unless someone wanted to go from this lot to this, that destination to go east to west. So.
I would like to hear from the restaurant in the corner here, because they raised some concerns that when they built, they felt they had good in, good out, good access, and everything that we're saying here changes their situation. And is there anybody here that can
Yeah, I just want to
say
mention
something to that effect? If
Just
I'm
wanna
not out of line here, I am.
No, just want to mention before Ms. Gillis starts visiting with us, we did get letters from Quick Trip, and we did get a letter from Ms. Gail Gillis, who's the owner of the Taco Bell property. So.
And
Welcome.
Thank you, and may I commend you all for spending your free time on the Planning Commission. I know it takes a lot of time and energy, so thank you. This is my first time in front of a Planning Commission, so I'm a little nervous. But I am excited about the development. I think it's going to be a big benefit to Hudson. I think it's going to really add a lot of commercial viability to. On the other hand, I'm quite concerned about what it does to the Taco Bell piece. It really damages the property as far as the access. And as you all know, real estate is location, 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 and with fast food, it's access. So not be able to get in and have the raised median really hampers the amount of traffic that you can have going into the Taco Bell. I don't have any statistics to that, but I have heard Taco Bell express, some reservations about whether or not they would want to renew their lease when that comes up. If you decide to go about and approve the median, I'm kind of interested in the timing, what you're thinking about when to put that in. If you put that in before you put in the rest of the road and everything, then we're essentially cut off. And also, if you put the median in, I think you may be solving the safety issue going across the road to the Taco Bell, but you could also be having people go up to the end of it, take a U-turn, and then come back down again, which creates another problem where they're doing the U-turn up there where Quick Mart and McDonald's come out. I'm just wondering if there might be some other options. In the traffic report, there were several options that were discussed. We seem to be talking about the raised median, which was only one of them. It wasn't listed as one of the recommendations. It was listed as one of the suggestions. So Angela has presented some other possible options. All of it bears discussion. I'm anxious to work with you. I would like to work with you. I also want to keep Taco Bell happy. And I also am interested in working with the developers. So I'm here to answer any questions, and to do what I can to help you and see if we can help resolve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela,
You're up.
Okay. Well, as you said, we just kind of brainstormed some other possible options, and none of these have been, it was just a quick some thoughts of maybe there's something else as far as Gail said that, there is, sorry. Basically, as Gail said, getting into the Taco Bell is their biggest issue, and making sure that people can easily get there. These are just real quick thoughts, and again, just that there may be other options or a combination of options. For example, maybe we can shrink the median and make kind of some of the comments you said, of make a dedicated left turn lane southbound heading than eastbound on Crestview. If you had a dedicated left turn, dedicated through, dedicated right, maybe that the stacking could be then reduced, thereby reducing the length of the median. And if you can kind of see where I've put in their joint driveway, that's the property line between the potential future business and then the Taco Bell. So maybe a joint driveway could be combined where it would set it far enough back from Crestview, but people could still get into Taco Bell and the future business that might go in that other lot. Another one is widening also. Well, 1 and 2 kind of work together, but widening Gateway to put the dedicated turn lanes. Another thing is, right now, being able to, if a concrete median did go in, making sure they did have some kind of access onto this new future roadway through an ingress-egress easement, and making sure there could be some maybe signage that said this is Taco Bell's entrance, drive-through or something to that effect, so people understood that those were connected. Another thing is along Crestview, allowing a right-in off of Crestview. I mean, similar to what McDonald's has on the other side, they have the right-in. Maybe it's in what's shown here is obviously very sharp, and we'd have to reconfigure it, but being able to provide a right-in, getting people in is the biggest thing. And then finally, about 10 years ago, I know they talked about, well, that was before the triple left turn lane, but there was talk about closing the median along Crestview to force people to go out to the intersection at Walmart, Wendy's, because that was confusing in that area, and then it allowed for more stacking along Crestview to get onto Carmichael. So, maybe it's another, so that then the concrete median would not have to go on Gateway, and people could still make that movement. So, again, these are just, there might be other options out there that could be considered or looked at.
Are you suggesting by this drawing print, whatever you want to call it, that the restaurant here is going to acquire this extra land and maybe change the whole way this works? I guess that's what I'm reading this into it a little bit, but maybe I shouldn't be, so please.
That was a proposal we made to them as a possible.
I know you did. That's why I'm asking the question.
No.
We've had some preliminary discussions, but there's nothing.
Well, I mean, it puts validity on some of this. That's why I'm asking the question.
Number 5, if you place a median closure through, that eliminates access through Gateway to other way, then is what you're saying.
Right, that would then
And
provide.
RVs and all of them will start having a connection fit too, right? So
Yeah, maybe, but that was a discussion, as I said, about 10 years ago. They talked about it just to keep the first intersection far enough back on Crestview and keep that movement through here. But yes, then it does impact other businesses as well. So there's trade-offs on all of these, providing, wherever you provide the concrete median might be a trade-off, so.
I kind of like.
Thoughts?
Any questions for Angela?
No, but I like 1 through 4. Can we do it all? 1 through 4?
Mr. Silvers?
It's a lot.
Yes, sir.
Brian Zeller, I'm one of the partners of the Travel Center. I think it's very clear that there's a problem or a challenge right now. I tend to think that once our road goes in and connects through, that's going to alleviate quite a bit of the problem. So my first thought is to do nothing, wait and see what the impact of the new road does to the intersection. The next step I would consider would maybe be the 2 left turn arrows to eliminate the confusion in that intersection. And then the third option, the most extreme, would be to install the median. But I don't think it's a one right answer this evening. I think it may be, something that only time's going to tell the best solution. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Planning Commission, my name is Barbara Schneider. I work for Border Foods. We are the Taco Bell franchisee of the Hudson location. First of all, I'd like to publicly thank Denny. He spent a considerable amount of time with me, our attorney, answering questions, providing information. So I just want the city to know that you have a very responsive employee, and we certainly appreciate that. You don't always find that in all of the cities. So thank you for that. Secondly, I will say that I've encountered many transportation safety guys, traffic engineers, over the course of my time. And they are not necessarily my friends. However, having said that, we are not against progress, and we understand that progress and improvement comes up with another set of circumstances and challenges, and this is one of them. Generally, the business that we're in, the business that Quick Trip is in, the business that McDonald's is in, we are a convenience-oriented business. I can't tell you why people flock to certain trade areas, and some sections of your city or other cities may be more successful or less successful than others. Each of the trade areas have charm, convenience. Maybe a mom with her 2 kids on a Saturday afternoon thinks it's just too big of a hassle to get into the Target across the street, so they choose to go to another big box. I don't know. And one of the reasons that the transportation engineers cannot substantiate the effects of changes in traffic patterns and what they do to businesses is that I can't measure the turnaway factor. And let me tell you what the turnaway factor is. It's why someone doesn't come for a particular reason. Well, if we're not there, we can't collect the data, and we don't know. All we know is something has changed and something has impacted the business. I will agree with Gail that installing the median and making the northern part of Gateway, where you have new road coming in, you have the easement from McDonald's to cross the Quick Trip, and you have cars that want to make a U-turn, all convening, sitting here tonight does not seem necessarily safe to me. And I can tell you that we have many intersections in Minnesota, and you're probably better drivers over here than we are, I'll give you that. Sometimes when I am forced to go to a signalized intersection to make a U-turn, it is dangerous because there are people making the right-hand turn not expecting me to make the left, the U-ey in the middle of the street. And that's just from my own driving experience, and to this point I've been okay, but that could change at any moment too. So it's a convenience factor, and I would say all you're doing is moving the tension points from the southern part of that intersection to the north. I would also inquire if a median does go in, I'll bring up the fact of mission creep. You know, the question was asked in one of our conversations with Denny, is there enough room to accommodate the median without takings? And in every project with transportation, and this is why government continues to grow and get bigger, there's mission creep. And now I've heard pedestrians entered into the mission creep. So now it's a raised median with some pedestrian safety features, and you have X amount of width to work with. So now are takings now involved along the street from Gail's property and the Quick Trip? And that question just needs to be raised tonight. As far as Crestview is concerned, I assume that that's a city street, but maybe I'm incorrect on that.
No, city.
City street. So is Carmichael a city street as well? So you have the ability to regulate the stoplights and to synchronize them?
No.
No, because?
Well, go ahead.
The answer is yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay.
The DOT for exit ramp
Yes.
controls the lights coming in and off, which controls our, if you go up to Crestview then, so.
Okay.
Basically, along the north-south stretch of Carmichael, it's controlled by the state. East-west on Crestview is controlled by the city, except for the intersection.
Okay, so in the pecking order then,
But may I may I just
I'm
finish?
sorry, go ahead.
That's fine. DLT has given more and more control to the city as far as signalization, so there's more. At first, of course, their first review is how many cars are stacking coming off the interstate.
sure.
As they've witnessed traffic and so forth, there's been more latitude to give the city more time going north and south on our lights to clear our traffic. So there's cooperation from the state. However, they do, as Alan mentioned, do have final say on the signalization.
So am I incorrect or correct in assuming there's a pecking order and perhaps some of the failure to clear the intersection at Crestview and Gateway is because priority is given to Carmichael?
In part.
Okay.
In part, yeah.
Okay. So I think to that point, the mayor's comments about the intersection at Gateway and Crestview is not necessarily clear-cut because there are other influences around that makes that little short stub of a street the most vulnerable in terms of traffic, perhaps. So those are my thoughts, and it's been a long day, and I'm sure other people would like to talk, so thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. I think there was someone that had their hand up. Come on in.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Planning Commission, my name is Scott Tigan. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Quick Trip stores. And I again, too, want to thank all of you for your time, and especially Denny. Whenever I have a question, I can call and I get an answer. So you got a great guy there.
Are you running for office?
I am retired before too long.
Yeah,
okay. He keeps telling me that, and I keep agreeing with him. But,
okay.
And I appreciate your thoughts about the one way. You just got it going the wrong way. I'm just kidding you. The issue for our customers is getting out on Gateway. I agree 100% with Brian with his thoughts about let's not fix. We got a little problem there. I think I'll agree with that. But I agree with let's see what we got and fix it when we know exactly what we got. That's what I really said in the letter. No business likes to give up any access whatsoever. And as you know, McDonald's and Quick Trip, all our traffic comes in off of Crestview. And all of our traffic goes out on Gateway. And McDonald's comes across the backside of ours. So when
the front side, right?
And the front side, yes, and the front side. Most of it in the back, though.
Yep.
So when the median goes in and our southerly driveway becomes right in, right out, then all of our traffic and McDonald's will be forced to that one driveway. So then they're going to come over, and then they're all going to, and then we got our car wash coming out there. And so we got to, we have our traffic issues as well. So I guess my recommendation for Quick Trip is let's wait and see. I think the solution's probably the median and cutting our driveway off. But I understand your Taco Bell's issue, and it'd be somehow nice to keep access going into them if they don't have. Because I've been in that situation too many times, and it will be devastating for Taco Bell. We can live with what you got, provided you don't cut off that other out access. And I'll tell you this too: the customers figure it out when it's peak time and they can't get out to the light there at Gateway and Crestview. They'll go out the other way and go where there's less pressure. So the customers, they figure out the best way to do it too. And for the most part here, these are customers that are coming back time and time again, so they'll know the issues. But our vote would be to wait with the median.
You wouldn't want to lose that first entrance, in other words, back onto Crestview.
No.
Gateway, excuse me. That first one, you say everybody clears on around to the north side of the property.
Well, they use both of them for outs now.
Right,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't want to lose that out on the south end.
Well, we prefer not to.
Yep. Okay.
I see it coming.
Yep.
But we won't be happy about it. But we also understand progress and life in a big city.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Any questions you have for me? I'm here too.
Okay. Anyone else?
There's been a couple of comments on timing of when, if and when a median may be considered. But I guess my question for the traffic engineers, is this something that is immediate? Is it, can there be a wait and see consideration here? Is that a reasonable and fair question, or?
I guess I'd turn to you from the modeling standpoint more so than anything else at this point, but I can.
Well, you can always wait and see. I don't disagree with that. From the modeling standpoint, when we looked at the volumes, they did clear the intersection every time, even though the queue did back up farther. So from an operational standpoint, from the modeling standpoint, which may differ slightly from personal experience, but my time spending out there as well, I spent quite a bit of time out there watching the intersection, and it did clear every time. So from a modeling and operational standpoint, it'll still work. The intersection will still work reasonably well. It's just that queue does back up, and it ends up basically being a de facto median anyways. Personally, I think you could wait and see. I think you could, exactly what impact the new road will have, how many customers will use that when it is backed up. Those are unknowns. Those are a little iffy to try and guess what those are. We did assign traffic to both locations, but that's our best estimate. So I think you could probably wait and see, and but have a plan in place that you would be willing to go to if there is a problem.
To ask him a question.
Sure.
So on the comment that was made earlier, how much land would the restaurant or not the restaurants necessarily, but the Quick Trip and the Taco Bell lose if we did a median, and if not the median, if we just made a third lane option?
I don't know that at this point. You'd have to look at some more detailed layouts to figure that out. I don't know.
We got
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
what that would be.
experts in the room. So.
It's 11-foot width, I think, kind of like.
Right, it would depend on what you need for lanes going north. If you can get by with one lane going north, now that you put that median in, because obviously the traffic volumes there now don't warrant a 4-lane roadway, but with the new ones, do they? I don't know, but so if you want the 2 lanes continue to go north, yes, the minimum width of that median that would be recommended would probably be from edge of pavement to edge of pavement 10 feet. So could you fit that within the existing right of way? I don't know. Other option, maybe you only need 1 lane going north, in which case the 1 lane becomes the median. There's, as they said, there's a lot of different options to look at that would have to be looked at in more detail.
It's presently 10 feet from back of curb to the property line, at least on the Quick Trip side. I'm not sure on the Taco Bell side, but so there's some latitude.
Similar on both sides.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yep.
You may need 4 or 5 feet to expand the road on each side, which then wouldn't, more than likely
Be reducing your right of way to potentially 6 feet, which typically we'd want 8 for snow stacking, but.
David, do you have something?
There was a draft of a median that was drawn by Foth that Danny got an estimate on cost, and I also had an estimate done by our excavator, and that plan shows that it fits within the existing roadway. So from that, I would assume that it does work because I've got a drawing of it.
Yeah, I think they reduced it. Hey, Karen, we took a standard, but they ended up reducing that width a little bit to try to accommodate the existing right-of-way, was my understanding. So.
That's correct. It was just then one lane north.
North, 1 lane north, 2 lanes.
So we
south.
lose the lane going north.
Correct.
Right.
That
And-
was a cost estimate that was done for Denny.
Okay?
My one concern would be that it's already been said by everybody that we know what the build-out would be on this when it is done. We know what the final the traffic analyses have come back with. Here's what it would be when this is fully built out and all that. I understand the comment, wait and see. Let's see what happens and see what we've got to do, but I think we already know where this thing is going to end up. And I would rather prevent an issue or a bad situation than go in and make a mess and try to solve it later. Personal feeling, I'm not sure anybody else agrees with me, but I mean, some of that should go into our thinking, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'll disagree with you, Fred.
I will too.
I think it's worth waiting and seeing what I think we're going to be surprised how many folks that will actually take the exit around. If this is a problem, I think Mr. Tigan had made the comment, the folks figured out real quick what's the easiest way to get in and out. And if going north along that road through the other development to that other stoplight is more convenient, that's where they'll go. If there's a stacking issue here, they'll go straight through. At least I would, and they learn real quick.
So wouldn't the least amount of impact on the businesses, yet the most help towards traffic flow right now? I don't mind waiting on the median concept, but I think Fred is half right that we are going to foresee something, and we should I think we should do something. And the extra turn lane to me is becoming a little more appealing as far as something that's not going to impact the businesses and could help traffic flow at the same time.
You're talking about the south lane?
Yes, to either have a left turn only lane and a straight lane and a right turn out lane.
Do you know if you were to count how many folks actually go straight south off Gateway, it's probably an insignificant number.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it is. I drive it every day.
Me too.
Huh? But I don't know if you have a count
Well,
for that.
they actually, I handed out.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we do have that.
So what is it? Do you have it handy?
Yeah, so you're talking about the volume that goes
Gateway
straight
going
through?
south, yep.
Well, in the morning, there's 20, we counted 20 that went straight through versus 149 left turns.
Okay.
And then in the afternoon hour, it was 33 straight through versus 189 left turns. So it is
Third?
a lot smaller.
Yep.
Yes.
Straight through.
Yep.
But
Straight
that's
throughs are a
also,
lot.
that could be because, exactly what he's saying, that people don't want to go straight through because they're a little nervous too. I mean, I don't know if it would make, I'm just suggesting.
Saying
flow
most of the
concept.
folks either go right or left. They don't go straight through.
That's right.
So we're going to create a lane for 39 or 70 people in the morning. I mean, I just think that's a waste.
There just needs clarification, not
Right.
a lane.
Yep.
Well, we have the clarification. It's just not being recognized. We have signage, we have striping, we restriped this year, but you can't see stripe in the snow, so you got to count on that signage.
But you don't have the light, though. You don't have the turn light.
We don't have the turn
Yeah, there's
light.
a southbound. There's a left turn lane.
Yep.
There's not a turn light though.
There's no
No,
turn
there's not
light.
a light. No,
Light.
it's a green ball. You only have there's no arrow. You're correct, but there is a lane there.
So if they're on Gateway going both directions, if there was a left turn arrow, I think that would solve a lot of the problems as far
Yeah.
as the confusion, personally. Okay?
Yeah, arrow lane, to me, my point is that there needs to be something in place to help that flow.
Yeah, but there has to be an arrow on the light, I think.
Right, yeah.
Let me ask this question. 5 o'clock Friday night. The place is crowded up there. Crestview going
West.
east-west.
Yep.
And people are trying to get up onto Carmichael. And they're not only that whole space, between Carmichael and Gateway is full. People stacked, but they're backed up beyond that. And you got them stacked all the way back to where the new road interconnects here, trying to get in. How's that going to work? Because I see it happening. I see it happening today.
I think what the traffic engineer had said is that will clear in one
turn.
One light.
turn.
And
One light.
they're not
There's enough.
they're not anticipating that the stacking will go beyond that driveway. Matter of fact, it won't get to it. It's
Okay, well, no,
340
that's-
feet.
If that's true, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, and if you have the turn arrow, they're gonna clear faster because they don't have to worry about is somebody gonna go straight through.
Yeah, if we have a left turn arrow, then it has to be by itself, like left turn green light going south, and people going north have to wait for the left turn to clear. You know what I'm saying? How they do that?
No.
Yeah.
Separate them.
Right, because otherwise it's just the same mess, but you gave someone a left turn arrow. So, and I don't have a problem with doing that as our first attempt to clear things, make things flow better without restricting businesses. But we have to, I don't want to walk away from Plan Commission and from this development and not do anything.
Well, I don't think anyone's saying not do
No, but
anything.
I don't want to wait and see. I want to have some sort of, even if some solution is minor as a left turn arrow.
Well, I don't think that's a minor thing. I think it's,
Well, it's going to be cost money, but it's,
and it's gonna have, there's gonna be some timing issues again with, both the other side and how long I mean, those lights are a problem child with what we have to deal with there. So, again, to make sure those lights work, right now, if I hear it straight, it clears after one time. It may not at Friday night at 5:30, it might not, I would think, on certain
I don't
days.
know, I'm asking the question.
Yeah, well,
In my planner comments to you, I strongly suggest we don't rush into a decision.
Agreed.
We wanted to invite the public comment. We wanted to get a discussion. Mr. Terhar and his comments, you can afford to wait, but you should have a plan in place. I agree with that. I would welcome the opportunity to work with Chris Saxby, our city engineer, folk engineer, take a look at some of these things that have been discussed tonight, some of the alternatives. Mayor Burchell asked me a couple of weeks ago if the city engineer will be making a recommendation. I was very cautious to ask for a firm recommendation until we had an opportunity to ask the business property owners, get their input before we start, rather than coming in with a recommendation and we argue that issue, what are some of the concerns? So I welcome that opportunity, and I guess, now it's up to the planning commission where you want to direct me and Chris Saxby, or maybe Ed if Hudson Center is willing to volunteer some of that assistance also. Take a look and see if we can come up with some firm recommendations. Where it includes an extra lane, where it includes signalization, alternative access, some of the ideas that Angela had. We can take a look at all those.
Absolutely.
We're not taking anything off the table, in my opinion,
Right.
until we do look at those.
Right.
So I guess I need direction on where to go.
So what are you saying, that we should ask for more information but postpone any decision? I mean,
No, I wouldn't make a decision until
We don't have
we're
enough
given an opportunity
decision.
to bring back
well,
after we've heard from everyone here,
Right.
let's see what
some
other.
review of alternatives, and hopefully we can come back with a recommendation, as Ed suggests. You may not implement it in 2013, you may not implement it in 2014, but perhaps the traffic warrants it in 2015. When we get there, we have a plan. If you need to tweak the plan in 2015, you can do that. But we have something. I mean, we have something to look, and then we can compare conditions. I don't know if we want to go all the way till, and then I'll start trying to make up decisions. So I think some time and investment at this point would be good. It doesn't commit the city to a decision. It just commits us to really take a look at some alternatives.
How do you feel about that?
no, and let me clarify. I didn't mean that I wanted to come away tonight with a decision. I'm just saying that I would like to have something in place, exactly what you're saying, Denny, essentially. I want something in place that we have a solution. I don't know we won't know if it's the best solution until it's actually implemented. I mean, obviously, but an educated solution to this problem. And if it takes, a while to do that, I don't have a problem with it. I don't want to lose this in the shuffle down the line, is what I'm saying.
I agree with you, but I just think it warrants further study with the potential options that we've been presented
Right.
tonight.
Right.
Then there may be more that we don't know.
Right.
So I agree, but with that added tinge to it.
And it could be even, like you said, too, tweaked when it comes to implementation, too. So it may not be just the end-to-end decision, but I think we need other alternatives to consider.
Here's my other question in this. So when the solution, when we do figure something out, how does it work as far as development agreements and?
That'd be part of our recommendation also. I mean, you have options, you have spatial assessments, you have general fund considerations, which I can almost take off the table today, but it's still there. Or it may be handled through some development agreements also. Again, those would be open also.
Okay.
Well, I want to restudy it, come back with all other options, and I don't know how to say that, or if I'm to make a motion or to do something along those lines. I guess that's what I want to do. Somebody help me out here and say, hey, what do I need to say to do it?
Make a motion to do what Denny said.
Well, I think we authorize our planner to take a look at some of the other options available for us and bring them back, and we can talk about them.
Then I make a motion that Mr. Darnold should check out all potential options, or as many as possible, to come back and revisit this issue with more ideas than what we have tonight.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussions, comments, or thoughts?
I think we still, obviously you won't know the effect of that westbound bleed out of that traffic till such time as it's opened up. So hopefully, maybe that could be forecasted in the process of doing some of those studies. If you took 25% of the traffic off by going west, how much does that improve the intersection?
Gotcha. Yep. With that third lane or second lane, or is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the amount of traffic once this is opened up that would lead
to the other entrance.
Correct.
Or redirecting, just finding the easy way out, as it was said earlier.
Which is why we might not know the best reason until it's in place.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, what Frank said, I think I mentioned that before, is the local resident, if you're going west, you may well go to the west entrance of Hudson Center versus going to this intersection. I mean, that's basically westbound traffic, but it could alleviate some of it. So.
That's what I'll do.
All right. Any other? Go ahead.
Well, maybe we ought to ask the audience if they got
anything else? Any comments or
last words
thoughts?
or-
Anything you want to add? It's open and available for you to make comments.
We're asking you.
Yeah. Okay. You'll get next.
Mr. Mayor, members, I would ask that when you take your considerations and kind of move those forward, I would ask that things be considered in an equitable manner. And if it's determined that the development of Hudson Center LLC is one of the prime movers in the resultant of a median, that be considered in their development agreement. It kind of feels to us, we're not against progress, but it kind of feels to us in some ways with our previous discussions with Hudson Center that that one of the participants would like to offset some costs to us, the end user, Taco Bell. And that doesn't feel quite right to us. So all I'm asking is that you consider things in an equitable manner as the process moves forward.
Thank you. Yes, sir. State your name, please.
I'm Mike Ziem. I'm just a resident.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to this.
Yeah.
My comments are, I've almost had an accident at that turn lane a couple times because of the coming south on Gateway. So making the arrows is a great idea, I think. My other question is, what's the intent of the development? What they're going to do with it?
Well,
It's commercial property.
Well, it's commercial property. I mean, basically what was discussed with the city initially was University of River Falls has expressed interest in part of the property for continuing education, postgraduate study. a couple restaurants and so forth, but Hudson Center LLC may be a better answer that question, as they've moved ahead in some discussions with the potential occupants.
So was that always intended to have that road there?
Yes.
So Taco Bell probably knew that ahead of time, that there was going to be a road going in?
Well, I mean, that alternative's been discussed since the mid-1990s.
Okay.
Even as the visitor center, there was discussion with DOT in regards to the city extending that road through it, so.
Okay. I'm just wondering, because they kind of knew what they were getting into a little bit with the development going through.
I'll answer that question.
Okay.
Okay. But, my only comment is I just was wondering, because to me it just looks like one way in would be optimal, unless it was some reason you had to have the road.
Okay. Thank you. And I bet you have an answer.
I do. Border Foods did not develop the site initially. It was developed by Taco Bell Corporate, and Border Foods purchased the restaurant from Taco Bell Corporate back in 1996. Although you would think our franchisor would know everything about everything and give you every particular detail, there were a lot of details, and the development process and particulars about why or how sites were developed was not disclosed to us at that time.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor, I believe. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other discussion or items that you'd like to add to a future agenda item? Or is there any business for informational purposes that we won't discuss, but we'll talk about without being discussed? If not,
I move to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much.